Ladies and gentlemen, music lovers, fans of music from all walks of life, welcome to the halls of musical people and journey, where we, your wonderful dulcet crew of Lauren, of Chris, of Paul and Trish, will tell you all about the latest rock albums. And today we're going to talk about the Chevelles and Bright as Blasphemy. We're going to rate them out of 5 for our listening pleasure. No other reason, no technical, no other reason other than how did we enjoy listening it through the month. Now, somebody we adore to listen to, and that's the dulcet tones of Lauren. Lauren, the Chevelles, were they as bright as Blasphemy? Whatever would you call Blasphemy bright? Maybe in certain circumstances, maybe? Who knows?
Yeah, so these guys have never been on my radar. I don't know, maybe it's just because I've reached a point where I've got my certain things that I'm comfy listening to, and I tend to stick to that because I know it and I know what I'm going to be delivered. However, shout out to the show. I've listened to a lot that I wouldn't normally listen to.
I know, it's called a journey, which we're on.
Yeah, exactly. This for me was a cool and comfy blend of them harking back to their like alt new metal post grunge and then sort of blossoming it more into the metal and anthemic rock vibes that they've been going for. Lyrically, I thought it was very good. Because it's just pretty solid. My favourite track by far was Jim Jones. I'm a true crime nut, so I really liked that. And the lyrics in that were very cool. And I thought it was a very clever way that they brought history and started connecting it to current events to sort of like try and jostle between the two, with one of the lines of lyric being from the song, "When the leaders don't drink from it first, the brainwash have already lost." And so it was just like, ooh, spicy. But it was very good. Yeah, I'm really interested to listen to it more. I think it's going to be one of those where it really grows on me, because there have been a few albums that we've listened to this year where I've gone, oh yeah, it's a 3.5, it's a 4, we'll see how it goes. And now I listen to it all the time and it'd be an easy 5. So I'm really interested to see how this sort of develops into that. I think it could be one of those. Overall, really interesting, really good. I'm curious to see what journey they take me on.
What was the album that gave you a 3.5 and now is a 5?
I think a good example that I probably have is Hot Milk's Destination or Corporation POP. That for me, I think I gave it a 4 just about at the time. Whereas now I hammer that hard, that album. I really enjoy that. It's become one of my reasons where, like, because I've been doing a health kick sort of thing, if I go out for a long walk, I will use it as an excuse to like listen to that album so I can swag around the town thinking I'm all that and a bag of chips listening to Insubordinate England. So yeah, it's one of those where I really, really am looking forward to seeing how this develops as well, and hopefully it follows the same vein.
Chris?
I kind of agree with some of what Lauren said. I really like the lyrics and the storytelling in the album, but musically it just feels like it most of the songs start off with a promise that they're going to deliver, and then they sort of don't. So like I'm going to pick them. I've got mixed feelings when people do a part 1 and part 2 to a song, that sort of thing on an album. Some people make it work and some people don't. But Cowards part 1 and part 2, they both start off really well, and they sound like musically they're gonna reach a peak somewhere in the song. But that peak is right at the start. It starts with the peak, and then it's kind of right. We've done this. Now we're going to keep plodding along the same route and the same sort of point. So and that, as the album as a whole, kind of fits into the same sort of boat. There's some really nice lyrics in there and some really, really nice lyrical work, but musically, while it is good to listen to, for me, there's just doesn't quite deliver in the way that I felt some of the songs could have done.
How would you describe
the music? I'm not sure that's part of the problem. I think there's a lot of pure sort of rock stuff. So there's the drums, there's the guitars, there's all the elements that should be there. and it always kind of feels like it's building towards a crescendo, but never actually gets there. So I don't know whether that's a style of music that I would be able to label. That's the thing. I mean, as I say, I enjoyed listening to it and listening to the lyrics, but the music just left a bit to be desired for me, I'm afraid.
Right, well, somebody who never lets us down, always builds to a crescendo and delivers. Trish.
So I'd not heard of this band or knew what genre of rock I was about to listen to, so I was eagerly awaiting to press play. As soon as the first note hit, I was like, oh yes, some heavy alternative rock that I love. I always like to hear bands' different approaches to this genre of music and what they bring to it. They make the angriness of their tracks melodic, for example on Rabbit Hole. The beating drum is quite hypnotic. The lead's vocals reminded me of times of Robert Smith from The Cure, but obviously when the lead isn't doing screamo, as Robert Smith doesn't do that. This was a good solid listen for me from a new band. Yeah, good job.
So, solid, new, Paul, heard of the Chevelles?
Well, the Chevelles have been for around. So even though Chevelle, not Chevelles, burst onto the scene in the late 90s, along with a host of new metal alternative rock bands, they're one of the handful that are still around after 3 decades. Bright as Blasphemy is a solid album thoroughly crafted, emotionally mature, and packed with layered, thought-provoking lyrics and refined musicianship. The more you listen to this offering, the more you appreciate the mix of epic hooks, poignant lyrics, and catchy guitar riffs. There's plenty of variety of two. I love Pale Horse, Tim Jones, and Hallucinations, to name a few. Bright as Blasphemy is a serious must-listen to for any new metal or alternative rock enthusiast.
Well, I agree with one thing. I thought Pale Horse was fantastic. But I agree with Chris. I think that it just... I don't know. I mean, I can picture, like, let's imagine you're sparring. You think, this person's a good boxer. I better watch out for the punch. And it goes... jab, 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 and it never happens, and it never punches, and it gets a little bit frustrating in that sense, And I keep willing myself to love this album, and I just end up liking it, and it just never really kind of hits home in that regard, and it frustrated me. It frustrated me because it was a nice album. It was a good album. It just, for my listening pleasure, just didn't. I don't know. Didn't quite hook me, and it frustrated me a little bit. But Pale Horse was a cracker, and I can see why people would really like this album. Now let's see how much we did really like it, shall we? Then let's rate it out of 5. Let's see if it gets into our Hall of Fame. If it gets 4 or more. Lauren.
I gave it a 3.5.
Oh, okay, that's pretty solid. That's a good start. Chris.
I went straight down the middle with 2.5, I'm afraid.
Trish.
I gave it 3.
Paul.
I give it a 4.
Wow. I also give it a 3. So, what did Andy Dicker do if Andy gives it a whopping score? He didn't, actually. For one. There's no surprise. Andy gave us a 2.5. So we'll drop Andy's 2.5 because we've dropped enough of Chris's this month. Bless him. Which also comes along. Black Honey Wolf Alice at 3.2. Gets a top 400 albums of all time, but not into our top 100 of the month. But it's still solid. It's just that this year has been racked with album after album after album. Right, okay. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave your comments below, and if you wouldn't mind hitting that like and subscribe button for us. We're going to get over 1,000 this month with a bit of luck. Thank you ever so much, and keep on rocking, and tune in for the next episode. Goodbye.